freaked out. We got ADD. Come with me. I'll usually make a scene. All the time, I'm always, no matter where, what I try to do, I always running across old stomping grounds. This ain't really coincidence. This could and will happen with any and everybody. So I happened to be at the house, right by the house that I lived in with 5 guys I discussed. The police came there. I lived there with this guy, Patrick, was a raging alcoholic. This is the house. Doug bought the house. If you know my stories, you know who Doug is. I haven't seen him in many, many years, but I got a half of mine with the house right there is where I lived when I met my wife. Actually, excuse me. I moved out of that house and in with the psycho how I met my wife. But we broke up. I moved back into that house when me and my wife started dating. So I'm right here, there. And I got all kind of partied all around here, stomping grounds, and Shane, all his boys lived right around here. On one street over for the doctor who was a guy, a friend of ours, Ken, a friend of Shane's, and these next door neighbors. I've talked about this. They were freaks. Tom and Helga was a prostitute. I've talked about this. We're at Allgood Road, and the road I lived on coming off of is, forgot the name of this, Sawyer and Allgood Road in Marietta. Right at Allgood is where Ken lived. This is the days when me and my wife first got together. We're doing X all the time on the weekends. Some of that time I worked for the doctor, some of the time not. But this neighborhood right here off of Allgood. So their next door neighbors were Tom and Helga. I've said this before, we go to their house one night and Helga's in the hot tub naked, and my wife looks at me and gives me shit and eye look, and me and my wife have had some we were rocky when we first started out. She was being friends with this guy. He lived right there, okay? This is the same time. This is at one of the times. His name was Jason. He lived right there. My wife was hanging out with him. They were just supposedly friends. This is during that time when I couldn't be around Colin and Zach because Zach's father, Jack, said I bit him on the ear. This was during that time. My wife was hanging out with this dude that was friends with Shane. He lived right there. After me and my wife had gotten back together, I go to his house and I'm yelling, punking him out, right? This kind of ties in with my story. Okay, so that neighborhood right there, coincidentally, I lived down the street from there years prior to this, but at the time, a year or two prior, I get friends with Shane. Me and Shane are hanging out on the weekends, and a bunch of people were going out rolling. Shane's friends with this guy Ken. We're going over to Ken's house all the time. Ken's got rolls, buys and sells rolls. Ken's buys and sells good weed, so I'm all the time going over there. I went over and worked at for Helga one day. So Tom and Helga were their neighbors. Parties, like I said, were swingers, and Tom wound up losing his chiropractic license because they incorporated, they were freaks. He wound up losing his chiropractor degree or whatever because they were messing around with a young girl. He had a court case going on at this time. Some of this stuff kind of ties together. So, okay, you got Tom and Helga now. Freaks, weirdos. The wife's a prostitute. The guy's going to life chiropractic to become a chiropractor. He opens the store, okay? Same place that I talked about, same building that I got in a wreck with this chick at Crab Apple in Roswell, at Crab Apple in 92. This girl cuts across the parking lot. That wreck, I sue her. 4 years later, I get 10 grand. The chiropractic place is literally right there, right at Crab Apple in 92. The same one I went to after I got in a wreck, and then I got Morgan & Morgan, and I was on my way home from my pill dudes when I lived in the hotel. I was a mile or two from the hotel. And I was just happened to be working right at that intersection today and yesterday. So this kind of bring it up. So this chiropractor's office I'm going to this few years ago now, like 5-6 years ago-ish, something like that. That place that I went to, this chiropractor at Crab Apple in 92, years ago, when me and my wife, we had split up, okay? We were on rocky grounds. We didn't know what the deal was. We was even possibly, Colin was an infant. We were possibly getting a divorce, right? Just being real good with you all. So there was this guy, Jason, single, hitting on her, hanging out with her. We couldn't be together, and so her and Jason started hanging out. So at this time, Helga, I had me and my wife, where I talked about I broke the kitchen table. I had this, so I had a case going on, right, with Cobb County. So I had to get a lawyer. Emerson, the guy talked about these stories, car thief, all that. I moved in with him during this time. I remember in the stories I said, I lived with him for a month. This was that month. This was back then, at the same timing. This guy Emerson bonds me out of jail. I go live with him, stay and work for him. And so that's when a lot of that crazy shit went down. But it was during this time, like I said, I couldn't be around the boys. So moved out of where me and my wife were living. She moves in with her mom, and she's got Colin and Zach over there at her mom's house. But I can't come over there. So, but I'm mad and pissed off, right? She's hanging out with this dude, even, she says they're friends. Still, y'all know the deal. Like I said, we've been on rocky grounds. This is part of it. I'm going back 20 years now, okay? We've been together 23 years. It's like the first year we were together, or two maybe. Yeah. I got pregnant immediately. Colin was born. That's 9 months. So this is, Colin's a baby at this time, so it's during that time frame. So hang out with dude on my back, kinda, and I'm not cool with it. One night I'm driving around and I go over there and I see him. I'm like a mile from her house, right? And I see him at the gas station, and I stomp it, and he's driving her car now. Scrub dude, don't gotta ride, right? He's driving Christy's car at the time, the one she traded in before she traded in for the Mustang. It was an old Ford, I don't know, it was nice. Can't think of the name of it. Ford something or other. And so I see him in her car, and I stomp it, and I chase his ass down. Gets all the way to her mama's house. Gets out as I'm pulling up. Runs into the house. I'm outside, screaming, "Come on, pussy!" All this. Her mom, actually her stepdad, comes out. "Mike, you're gonna have to go." They're threatening to call the police on me, whatever. Wasn't right in my head. So, I think when me and my wife got back together, where I just said where he lived, we went there, and I was across the street yelling, screaming, "Tell him come outside, pussy," all this. And so Tom and Helga had a lawyer, Harry Krumenauer, right? During this time, Emerson got me out of jail. He got me a lawyer. His lawyer, Harry Krumenauer. So, Harry Krumenauer, I go to, this is another story, I go to court, and it's this guy that I had gone to school with, Jared, was getting me work around this time. I was working for myself too. This might have been around at this time or before this. I said I worked for myself. Jared was getting me work. One of the jobs I went was our basketball coach and an LD teacher, Mr. Bloom from high school. So Jared's got all these hookups and stuff, and through school and all this. I wound up seeing him years later at the methadone clinic, strung out on dope. But this is way before then. He's giving me jobs. I go to Coach Bloom's house. His wife, Judge Bloom, I go to bid the whole inside paint these people's houses, right? Some 6 months later, I'm in court, and here's Harry Krumenauer, and he knows my judge. Judge Bloom, lady who I was just in the judge was the lady I was just in her house coincidentally 6 months prior to this, right? Russakoff, you can't mistake me. She couldn't mistake me. Hi, how you doing, Mr. Russakoff? Harry Krumenauer. Harry put his arm up there. How's the kids? Yada, yada, yada. How's the wife? They knew each other. They know each other, all that. And it was a slap on the wrist, right? But that was crazy. I even forgot all about that I knew the judge prior. So Harry Krumenauer was my lawyer, right? And he went to court with me through that. At that time, before I even got back with my wife, I'm telling Harry Krumenauer about this guy Jason. He's saying you're gonna get divorced. She fooling around, yada yada yada, that kind of stuff, right? So I'm telling him all this. Dude, Jason. So a month goes by, and me and my wife, we're not together. So we both have we both got a meeting at DFACS for the kids, and I've taken off for a month, and I've gone straightened up and straightened out. Like I said, I had to pee in a cup, and I knew it. I couldn't be around the boys until I pee in the cup, so I had to stay gone. So a month, I've cleaned up my act, and I'm ready to pee in a cup. So I go to DFACS office, main one, right here in Marietta, and so my wife's there. So she's kind of on edge, and mad at me, and this has all kind of mixed feelings and whatnot, and me kind of too. And one thing led to another, and then we walked out into the parking lot and we talked, and just like that, we got back together. And so Tom and Helga, the chiropractor, his lawyer was Harry Krumenauer. My wife was going to him, and he was adjusting my wife, right? During this time, he was going to Life Chiropractic. He was practicing to be a chiropractor. He already opened a store, the same building that I go to through another chiropractor some 15 years later, something, same building. There again, like 20, 30 miles away from where they live, so odds and coincidence are there on crazy levels. So Harry, my wife's going to see him. He's adjusting her. He's bought this building, same building, like I said, 20 years later I go to, and he's got a grand opening, and me and my wife go to it. And guess who's there? Harry Krumenauer and Jason. Jason was friends with all them guys, with Shane, with Ken, friends with, like I said, he lived real close to Tom and Helga, so they were tight, and we never really thought nothing about it. So we go to Tom and its grand opening, and there's Jason, and there's Harry Krumenauer, and me and Harry, my lawyer, we see each other and smile, like, it's kind of odd, right? So he had, like I said, they were freaks and stuff, and so he had Tom, and like I said, Tom and Helga, they were older. They were a few years, 10 years at least older than us. Harry Krumenauer had already been their lawyer for God knows who long, right? Like I said, he wound up getting his license took so they did something, he went to jail, something over a minor, they were weird, like I said, the wife was a prostitute, they were swingers, Shane told me one time they we're all doing it over there, like, massive amounts of couples are fucking in the same room, all this kind of stuff. They had hot tubs, girlfriend's a whore, whatever. And here's, we go out to their grand opening, and here's my lawyer and the guy that I was just previously talking to my lawyer about, who Jody was. Here's Jody at the party, so I see him. And so there again, what do you think happened? Of course, I approach him, come right up on him, face to face. Let's go around back to the building. Nah, man, nah, be cool. He had said this, that. My wife had told me some things he had said. He claimed and said that he was, she told him, I'd be careful, Even way back then, I wasn't right. I mean, a totally different person. Mean, evil. Many people that have seen me then and now, they're two different people. I was even a different person then than I was when I was addicted to opiates. Just a mean, resentful asshole. I seen this dude, and I seen red once again. Got right up in his face. Go to the back of the building. He didn't want none. I pushed him, tripped him in front of a whole bunch of people, right? And so here's Harry Truman now, drink in hand, sitting here watching me punk the guy. It was odd, I had just been in the lawyer's office prior, a month or 2 months or something at most, sitting here going over this guy with my lawyer, and here he is, there they are together, and he got to see that, some weird shit, right? So there again, I never even thought of some of that until, as I'm starting to tell the stories. Wow, man, that's kind of weird too. Like I said, these are not, these maybe the same town. You're going to run across the same people, yeah. But think of those circumstances. I'm bound to run into, if I got friction or something. If you cross paths with me, you're going to feel my energy. Whatever, even you people on here that if you get involved or a part, my energy will attract you. You will become part of the story. Facts. Here's another guy's telling me, thank you, crotch guy. He tells me, dude, do you know my name's Sean and my sister's names are Stephanie and Stacy? Oh man, oh fuck. A deer ran out. Damn it. Literally just a wreck just caused because a deer was dead in the... Wow, man, you guys just seen that. Cops aren't even here. There was a dead deer in the road and 2-3 cars smashed and crashed. Wow, that touches my heart. I'm glad you guys could be here to share that. I almost got ready for crying tears. Did you hear that? There was a dead deer in the road. I'm a mile from the cop precinct, Cobb County jail, which happens to be mayhem. Look up Georgia jails and prisons. Scary, spooky stuff. Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy as shit. A dead deer at this time of the day in the roads. I mean, a deer ran out. It's hot. They usually stay in the woods. That's weird. That's all, folks.